Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Welcome everybody to Wednesday Wham, and boy, do we have a crew for you tonight. This is going to be one of my...
Where are we? This is not Sunday.
No,
this is.
This
is
Don.
Wednesday. Oh, yes.
It's the League of Substitute Heroes.
You got lost, didn't you? Wandered into the wrong show. This is going to be one of my infamous question and opinion podcasts, which are always a lot of fun because we go totally off the rails. And if you don't know me, my name is Barb Kelberg. I'm the creator of Divinity, the CFO of Silverline, and all-around general inker. And next up, go ahead, Roland.
Hi, I'm Roland, and I'm usually here on Sundays, but Barb said I need you to show up, so here I am.
How about you, Tom?
She said jump, and you said how high.
I won't roll in the way of his broken hand again.
Oh, man.
That's a mess.
I'm Dr. Tom Mason. I'm Roland's doctor.
Oh, my God.
All he can do is play trivia and answer questions now.
Oh, man. It's going to be one of those nights.
Yeah.
Rob turns off the light.
Rob's got to pay
Party's
attention.
over.
Well, we're not going to do the okay.
That's
Where were you between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m.?
That's right.
We're not going to do that.
All right, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Well, yeah, I am Rob Davis, venerable artist, penciler, all-around crazy guy, one of the usual nut house people that are here on Wednesday.
Yeah, I had to wrangle a few more people because it was only going to be Rob and I, and that's not a very fun question
no,
to answer.
That's the way to madness.
And now the infamous we have more than a Floramonte flyby tonight. We actually
I'm actually showing up this time.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I've shown up before when I'm driving in the car after biking.
Yeah, a
Thomas
drive-by.
Floramonte. A drive-by. Yeah, literally
Drive-by,
drive-by.
yes.
Yeah, Floramonte, inker, mostly creator. I do all kind of crazy stuff. I just want to argue, so I'm on here tonight.
Great.
I think
You're in the right
Perfect
place.
placement.
sounds like a drink you get in Florida.
As long as we don't talk about sandwiches.
That's
Red Solo Cup.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to start off the night with the only screen share that I have for the night, but it'll be self-explanatory. We're going to have an opinion here of our local writers. And for those of you on our stream who don't know what this is an Oxford comma. Now,
Oxford
before
comma.
the and if you don't use an Oxford comma, it doesn't exist between trumps and. Now, our writer friend, let's start with Roland. Yes or no for the Oxford comma?
So in general, yes. I think, like a lot of English grammar rules, you kind of know how you need to know what you're doing before you break them. So I say in general, yes, you need the Oxford comma, but there are sometimes certain situations, flow of dialogue or something like that, in which you can forego it. But I think more times than Vic, some more times than not, you need that. I mean, because you know the famous one, right?
Eats, shoots, and leaves.
Or that one, or let's eat grandma.
yeah.
Oh no! That wouldn't be an Oxford comma either.
I'm like, what did they
Shoots and
say?
Yeah. Sorry, that was the first one
And
about commas though.
Let's eat grandma shoots and leaves.
Yeah.
That's a game, right? Shoots and letters.
Each shoots and leaves. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mason.
So I heard, many years ago, pre-internet, before you could look these things up, I heard a story that I may have been, in those days, it may have been apocryphal. You just never really know, and you had no way to look it up. But I heard that legally, if you went to court and said, I like divinity, trumps and cray, then that's only 2 items in a court of law. Divinity is one item, cray is the second item.
Mm-hmm.
So I started then that was an argument for the Oxford comma. So I started putting the Oxford comma in just in case I ever went to court and did something stupid. So
Which is a given.
But of course, people have met me and hey, I bet Tom's going to put an Oxford comma in because he's an idiot. And so I've always put an Oxford comma in as a caution, and I still do it.
Rob?
The only time you would not use one is if it's not clear. If it makes your sentence unclear. But otherwise, it's like Tom says. It's trumps and cray. That's one thing.
That's one thing.
Trumps and cray. If it's trumps, comma, and cray, that's different.
Yeah.
But the only time you would leave that out is if leaving it in makes the sentence complicated and you can't understand it. I can't give you an example of that, but that would be the only time you would not use an Oxford comma. Otherwise, if you have multiple things and then an and for the last one, you got to still have that comma after the next to last one. That's what I do when I'm correcting books that I've designed, is if we come across one of those, that comma goes in. Oxford comma, yes.
How about you, Tommy?
Okay, so I'm throwing all English out, and I'm going to say trumps, comma, and Trey looks stupid, so it's the other one. No comma.
Well, I have never used an Oxford comma, but you guys have made a really compelling argument.
No, it just looks dumb.
So let me add to that. The only book that I've kept on my desk in 35 plus years of writing is this one right here, Strunk and White's Elements of Style. Mm-hmm. It is gone with me everywhere. Right now, not this edition. This is I think when I moved to California, I still had the second edition.
What was that? I saw something bad about me. What?
I was trying to find it in here, but he's for those who don't know, E.B. White of Strunk and White is the same guy who wrote Charlotte's Web.
Yes.
Right? E.B. White, Charlotte's Web, Strunk and White. Yeah. I can't find it in here that quickly, but he is very quick to say in a series, you've got to have that comma to delineate each item.
There you go.
So
I don't have my book handy either. I have English. Yeah, English usage is it's on the shelf way across the room. I'm not gonna mess
So
with it.
Vic wants to throw a question in here quickly. What's our personal favorite Malibu imprint? Well, that's easy for me because I spent every single issue inking solitaire. So that was my favorite. And I inked a lot of the books. But most of them were
Do you mean
fill-ins.
by imprint a book or
Just he's talking about a series,
Eternity
I
Right.
and Adventure? Or is that
Yeah.
what you mean?
that was my interpretation
that's
of
what I
that.
mean.
So there'd be
Okay.
Ultraverse and there'd be Malibu.
Oh, I see.
Malibu,
Oh,
Aircell.
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
and-
Ultraverse was mine, even though I started out at Adventure Comics and I worked for Eternity Comics, but Ultraverse was my favorite.
Mine was Eternity.
There you go.
That's the one I worked for. And then, of course, I worked for the Malibu when I did the Star Trek books for them. But yeah.
Right.
I think I did something for
Yeah.
everything.
All
at
of them you
one
did,
point or
yeah.
another. Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
But it's the I really
Um,
liked what's the Gravestone? I think Gravestone was a really cool character.
That was
the
the
Malibu Comics imprint.
yeah.
Yeah, but Nightman is cool. I like Nightman. That was
Yeah,
fun.
it was of the books that I didn't work on. That was one of my favorites. That and I'm blanking on the big muscle guy.
Hard
that
case.
was-
Prime?
Oh, Prime.
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 Yeah.
I really enjoyed Prime.
This question is kind of like asking Tom to pick between
Yeah, I
his
know.
kids,
Pick his
right?
baby.
Yeah.
Pick my favorite baby.
Yeah.
So which one for you, Tom?
So I'm gonna go an entirely different direction because
Oh, no.
under ordinary
The
circumstances,
rock and roll comics.
I would say no. Ordinarily, I would probably say the Ultraverse, just because it was the biggest of everything, and it was
Right.
like the thing. But I would,
Nice.
I'm gonna say Bravura
Night/Man.
Bravura. Wow. Okay, that surprises me.
because what happened with Bravura is I got to meet and work with
Oh yeah.
Bacon and Starlin and
Yeah.
and Simonson,
Simonson.
and those guys, and those were guys from my teenage years.
Yeah.
That's right. Hi,
And
Pops.
so, no offense to everybody else who worked on the books, but those guys were,
Your
I
idols,
would
yeah.
run to the newsstand and I would get those books, and all of a sudden now I'm having lunch with Howard on the Paramount lot because that's where he was working at the time, and I'm talking to Walter about Star Slammers, and I'm talking to Starlin about how to color his book, and so that's, I love those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bravura was
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's some cool books.
Speaking of comics,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
there it goes.
as somebody who deeply loves comics, do you prefer black and white or color?
Oh man.
That's tough.
It's a two-way thing for me. I
Yeah.
like black and white because I want to see the art, but I like the coloring. But I know the book needs to be in color because that's what sells. But I really like to look at the line art.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I miss most about comics is in the old days, the artwork would come in by FedEx, and you would look at the thing and you would see the art full size. It'd be 11 by 17 or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You would look through it, and and all of us, and Roland's,
Yeah.
guilty of this too.
Oh
Full
yeah.
size like that. Yeah.
You'd want to read the book from the original art,
Yep.
and you
Yeah.
want to sit there and and I want to see where the pen scratches into the paper, and I want to see where the pencils took form.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
somebody
One,
put a
two,
coffee cup down on it.
Coffee cup. Yeah.
And I wanted to smell like cigarettes because everybody was smoking.
Oh my goodness!
Or-
That is
Oh
the
my God,
weirdest thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Or John Buscema would always do sketches on the back.
Sketches on the back,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, you don't know how many phone numbers of people I got that people are writing notes on the back of stuff.
It's like
I'm like,
it's like
what?
I've seen shots of Kirby's original artwork where he would write the story on the side.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is the dialogue I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
and this is what I want to do. And so I like. I'm used to reading it from the black and white,
Yeah.
and so I like it. But then, and color makes it a different book sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as an inker who has a fairly fine line, a lot of the fine detail gets lost in the color. And if you look at the color page and then look at the original artwork on my pages, you're like, oh my god!
Well,
The
I think the
pages
fine
are
lines.
beautiful.
I think the fine lines got now pre the paper and are processed now. I think a lot of the fine lines got lost on the newsprint as well because
Yeah, because the paper would
would
suck
just
it
muddy
up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called what is it? It's got a name
bleed.
for it. It's
Yeah,
dot bleed. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see the original art, but then in the printed version on that newsprint, it was muddy.
Yeah.
So I think that we still lost that. For me, I don't know that I could choose one because there are things like Cerebus, for instance, that I absolutely just love just poring over those pages, the black and white.
It would not be the same
work.
book in color.
No, it would not be the same book in color.
It would not be the same book.
But there are other books I think that would not be the same. Some would look like coloring books, right? Now, Dave Sim knew, and Gerhard, they knew what they were doing, so it was built to be in black and white.
Yeah.
And but if you were to take, I would say any probably modern Marvel or DC today and do it in black and white, it wouldn't look very good because it would look like a coloring book.
You're right.
Not that there's anything wrong with the coloring book, but
No.
Yeah. But that's not what comics are.
That's not what comics are. Yeah.
That's the thing.
And I would agree with Roland that it would depend on the book. There are some books, and it also depends on exactly what you're talking about by black and white. Some of them have gray tones on them as well, which in some cases works better than color.
Yeah.
It gives more definition to the artwork, and color would probably just mush it up. But there are certain books that are done when done properly in either medium, you can't see them being done any other way.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the story and the book. Yeah.
I think that when you're if I was a publisher and I was going to assign the writer and the artist to the book, you'd have to know in advance, is it going to be a black and white book or a color book? You'd want to hire a writer who could write to that, and you want to hire an artist who can draw towards that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to hire an artist whose work only looks great in color.
Right.
If they're a great storyteller, if you're going to do a black and white book, you want to find somebody who could bring out the best of that process. So,
yeah, I agree. As for David's a comment there, I am one of the fortunate few. I think I've got one of the Kirby Commandy artist editions. Yeah. Really nice.
That's at the height of his career. Right
Oh
there.
man,
Yeah.
just
He was
Commandy
really
is
putting out
probably
some
my
great
favorite
stuff.
Kirby stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the thing too, because when you'd get a Kirby book from DC in those years, and you turn that first page and get that double page spread, it's like a punch in the face.
Oh man, yeah, love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Yeah, and by the way, kids, if you're looking for some really good double page spreads, just Google Jack Kirby double page spreads. I think it's on Flickr. Someone has taken them and put a bunch of his spreads on a Flickr photo album, and you just got to click through and you can just look through all of them.
It's amazing. The best monsters, the best foreground action, the best. It looks multi-layered, even though there's no, multi-plane camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
Good question, Barb.
Oh, here's another good one.
Tacos.
We're getting there.
All right.
Should characters stay dead in comics?
I'm going to answer no. I don't think it, because we've already should they? Yes, but yeah, we've already kind of gotten past that point where we realize that they don't. So it doesn't bother me. It's when they're brought back just
over and over and over again.
over and over and stupidly.
I think to me it takes out the drama and the real punch to the death. It's like, that's all right. He'll be back in a couple months. So
Yeah.
what?
I just kind of assume
doing
that they're going
South
to be
Park
back.
in a book would be fine if they kept
With
coming
Kenny,
back.
yeah, Kenny keeps coming back.
It's see, I think it's sort of like that horse has already left the barn,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
so it's you can make the statement of, oh, everybody, we're not going to kill anybody off or whatever, and then you kill somebody and then they come back, and I think you can't put that thing back in the bottle.
Right.
And so because everybody who's read a comic where somebody dies is going to read that same comic where that person comes back and says, what a trick.
Right.
And so I think the point shouldn't be that the death is any sort of a big thing now. They should find another thing.
yeah.
Okay, like
Yeah.
what?
I'm not sure, because it seems like the drama of a character dying is no longer interesting as a cliffhanger. It's no longer interesting as oh my God, I'm horrified. I'm shocked. I don't know how I'll survive the next 30 days because my favorite character.
Because he's back again.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, but if they can, it's like when they have these big build-ups and the characters do pass, and it's like nowadays you're just like,
Well, also, I think it depends on a couple of things. I think it depends on story, on writer, on character. So, for instance, what I mean is that in Marvel and DC, I don't expect them to stay dead, right? Because those
of the money.
They're the money. Yeah, those are big corporately controlled characters, and there's no way they're going to kill off those cash cows, right?
Right.
If you are, however, an independent guy or gal, and you're wanting to, this is something you're like, hey, I've got to do this. I have to establish this, because one of the things I think it does is it establishes, if you do it as a writer, you form not a disconnect. What's the word? Distrust. Your reader begins to distrust you, right? It's like, oh, well, this character's not really dead. They're going to come back, in some form or fashion. Right. And so I think readers can distrust a writer if you do that kind of thing. That said, I think maybe there are some stories that some kinds of stories that might lend themselves to that. I'll give an example. Like, I don't think in Cat and Mouse, which is kind of a real world thing, if Cat dies, he ought to be dead, right? He ought to be dead. Demon dies, well, we could probably think of some kind of science fiction.
I suppose it depends on the circumstance and the character. Would it be reasonable for them to be able to be resurrected?
But I also think Roland brought up a great point, which is if this is a corporate comic book universe and it's Marvel or DC, nobody's going to die because they need the toy money and they need the cartoon money and they need the shoe money and they need all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So they're going to come back when it's time to launch a new line of stuff. And so, but the way to really make it effective is like an independent comic. If you did a 4-issue miniseries and it's a complete story where there's not going to be a sequel or whatever, and you kill a person, I would buy into that.
Well, let's use Malibu for an example. The Squad.
That's
how effective was that?
Right, we wiped those guys out.
Yeah, that was incredibly effective. Yeah. That I think that affected consumers, retailers, and readers. Are like, holy crap, these guys are dead.
And we killed the Exiles too.
Yeah.
There's also another big comic. I don't know if you guys read them. The Walking Dead. If those characters actually came back, because would that have been stupid? So another point would be where would we be now if Superman had died one of his 15,000 times, but he stayed dead the first time? What would the industry look like if these characters had died? Of our legacy kind of a character, would the industry look a lot different than it does now?
Probably.
Oh yeah, I would say
it probably would. It would look a lot different. Yeah.
Better, worse.
Well, for one thing,
or do we not let them die?
It'd be different.
If characters had to stay dead, they wouldn't have killed them in the first place.
Probably that's where I was going. Right. They probably wouldn't have let them die.
Yeah. Also characters,
and then you wouldn't believe the stories at all. At that point. If
characters didn't die until DC was taken over by a corporation and Marvel was taken over by a corporation, and so that's when they died and started coming back. because
You
they
know what?
recognize the
I hadn't
value.
realized that.
When in DC in the 60s, nobody died.
Yeah.
They were always put in danger on the covers. Oh, what will Superman do? He's trapped in a locked room.
Yeah.
And it's oh no, Jimmy's turned into a giant turtle. And
Well,
And it
I
gets
can think in one instance at Marvel where they introduced Wonder Man and
Oh,
killed him
yeah.
in the same issue.
Yeah.
Of course, later on they brought him back, but that had an impact.
right. And there's a
Because
really
they hadn't done that before.
there's a really great Legion of Superheroes story that I think is 8 pages, and it introduces a character called Erg-1 who wants to join the Legion of Superheroes, and he has a power, but he can't show it. And the gimmick is he can't show it because he can only use it once, and then he dies. And so he uses it. He uses it to save the Legion, and then he's just an empty uniform on the floor. It's like, well, yeah, we should listen to that guy.
Yeah.
Here, thanks, dude.
Yeah,
Somebody grab a hanger.
right. You know what? We're gonna put a uniform in our showcase.
Moving on.
Gonna
and
hang
this
that
is gonna-
costume up on the wall. There you go.
This is going to be a big one.
Don't know.
Mhm.
No.
Is Chicago style pizza really pizza?
The thick pizza, yeah. I only like my pizzas thick, so yes.
That's to me. That's more like a
big
Okay.
pie.
casserole.
A
What-
pie. You're
First
right.
of all, we have to define our terms.
Oh no.
Oh, here we go, Mr. Technical.
Yeah.
Okay, Professor.
What is pizza? What's the word pizza mean?
I don't know. We're gonna Google
Pie. It means
Pizza
pie.
pie. Oh,
It's meat
oh.
pie.
Oh.
So why would you call it a pizza pie? It's pizza, but
It's like manga comics.
Thick pizza is just
Mega comics.
a thick,
That's true.
a thick piece of pie.
So wait, are you saying
So, yeah.
pizza means pie?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
It's a pizza pie.
Well, see,
It's
that's
a
what I've heard
pizza.
that a bunch. Yeah, it's
Pizza,
pizza pie.
pizza is a round food that we cut into triangles and we put in a square box.
Unless I worked at a place where they cut it into little squares.
Well, those
little
are communists.
triangles.
Those are communists.
So that lends the question: Is triangular pizza better than square pizza?
If you ask my wife, it is.
Yeah.
You get more
She
fan
hates it
base.
when she always
See,
gets thin
I like
pizzas
the
when
square
they always
pizza
come
myself.
square.
Now, if
I
you
want- I
add,
want the crust.
I do too. I do.
Well,
too.
no, I like the crust, but I like the square because I like to have the crust on one side and be able to fold it up.
Yeah,
And-
but
and
what
it's
about all the
sandwich.
pieces in the middle? Then
Right,
you get like,
Sandwich. Think Italian.
oh no,
it's a
But yeah,
pizza sandwich.
that's
But
a
yeah,
taco
so,
at that point.
so it's just a thicker pie. Is the
Yeah.
deep dish is just thicker pie. It's thicker pizza. So
Barb snorting.
I
Yeah, I think
am.
so.
We're not going to get into the sandwich debate.
All right.
We'll be here for the rest of the night. Okay, now
Yeah,
a New
Renee.
Yorker
When
or-
Renee and I go get pizzas, she has to get a thin, I have to get a thick, and then that's the way it is.
yeah,
a New
I personally
Yorker-
prefer thin.
New York
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah.
a New Yorker would say that a Chicago-style deep dish pizza is a casserole, not a
Yeah,
pizza.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they have their own state. They can steal it.
Right? Yeah.
It's tomato soup swimming in a bread bowl.
Yeah, give me some more. I'm gonna go get one now.
Tomato soup. Depends on how much of a hole in the wall the place is.
Yeah.
I think you get more bang for your buck with square. That's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
All right.
You lose track of calories with a square because it's not a slice, and you know what's in the slice.
Oh, how many calories per slice?
Yeah.
Because that's the way that they have it in the menu. It tells you how much per slice.
Ah, well, I hate those people.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Right.
Takes all the fun out of eating.
It does.
It does. Yeah.
Okay. 2 spaces or 1 after a period.
Oh my gosh. I have a story. I have a story. I have a story. I
Go
have a
for it.
story. So
It depends on how old you are. That's the
I was
story.
gonna say anybody who is close to our generation knows that we were all taught 2 spaces, right? On your typewriter, 2
When
spaces.
you were typewriting. Yeah.
But
There's a reason for that.
when I went to Malibu, when I moved out to Malibu, I got my butt chewed by somebody for including 2 spaces. Oh my gosh. You would have thought I had said the Antichrist was coming because I'm like, what? I was trained this way. You don't need this is a technological age and it's all, and I got the explanation as to why we no longer need them. So I'm going to go with 1 space.
I have taught.
Because you're in fear of your life, right?
That's right.
The pupil has now become the teacher.
I can tell you why we went to one space, but
Okay.
after everybody else does.
Well,
All right.
I do correction. I do book design work, and I do corrections. And I have a program that goes through and takes out every double space, so it's down to one.
Yeah.
And the reason is, as Tom explained to you, Roland,
Mhm.
is that back in the day when you used a typewriter, the keys struck and the letters were evenly spaced apart. So in order to space a sentence from another sentence, there were 2 spaces after a period. Now that we have letters that actually space themselves by size,
By capitals.
they call it kerning,
Yeah.
Right.
that you don't need that extra space anymore.
Right.
And taking that one extra space out can, if it's a big enough book, that can be an extra page
Yeah.
that you've eliminated from the book. So you don't really need it anymore. Now,
No.
some people still put it in,
I
Yeah.
still
but like
put
I
it
said,
in.
I have a program that strips
Stop it.
all those suckers out of there.
And, all right, so there's an argument out there that says subconsciously it is easier to delineate between sentences if there is a double space. Your
Right.
subconscious actually takes into account that extra space and separates those sentences.
Tom's
agree.
going to yell at you.
I
I'll
don't
go,
buy
I'll
that.
go
but-
one step farther. Is that the kids today with their texting and stuff have eliminated punctuation and
Punctuation.
Yeah,
period.
there's no period.
That's
Yeah.
right. There's no capitals. There's no periods
You
or
need that
Right.
commas.
extra
So
space for the end of a
everything is a run-on sentence, and everybody's fine with that. So I think we've moved on from the antique store of typography, and we're more in line with Rob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but professionally printed books, if you've got 2 spaces in there,
Yeah.
you're going to get all the nitpickers eating you alive.
Yeah.
It is
because
a
you've got 2
shame.
spaces in there.
It is a shame that Mr. John Medic is not here tonight, because he and I have had this conversation. He submitted to me something for the newsletter, and there were 2 spaces. I said, John, stop this. Stop. I've got to go in now and delete all of them because you did this.
You should get
And-
Rob's program.
Well,
That's
actually,
right.
you-
You just do a
It's a
search
script.
for 2
It's
spaces.
a script that gets
Yeah.
put into
Sub
a
in one.
program that I use called InDesign. It's a script.
Oh,
At
And
least
it also
7 spaces.
it also checks for other things like using in InDesign. It automatically puts the indentation in,
Yeah.
but you get people using the tab.
Oh,
Oh my God, that drives me crazy. But this program eliminates all those too. So
Oh,
you don't
that's
have to
nice.
go find those. Or if somebody if they put in spaces for the beginning of a paragraph,
oh, yeah.
that's another irritation of mine. So it'll also take out multiple spaces.
What is
So
this
it takes care
program?
of all that stuff that I used to have to hunt for.
Yeah, what's
And
the program?
The program I use is called InDesign, and someone has
Oh,
written.
InDesign
and you
will
can-
do it?
Oh, it has I have a script. It's a free script. If you want it, I'll give it to you.
Please.
It will go. It's a free script, and it goes through and gets rid of all that stuff. And you can set it to take out other things as well.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah,
I'm
I
currently
didn't-
writing
I mean,
up the script.
but
I
it's
use
a
InDesign,
script.
but I didn't realize that it did that.
Yep. To learn the program, I listened to this podcast that had all kinds of stuff like that, and it talked about this script that you could use to do all that stuff. And I went, I got to have that,
Right.
even
Yeah.
if it costs me money. I got to have that, but it was
I'm currently
free.
writing up
So-
Divinity 9 through 12, so that would be a big help. All right, Tommy,
Yeah.
what is the printer's reason?
No, there's no printer's reason. No, I was going to say, once we went over to doing everything in the computer and stuff, that extra character is an ASCII character, and it takes a whole bit or whole byte, and so that's ASCII character 32, if I'm not mistaken, in most of the
I don't
ASCII
remember
code.
what it is. But
So
yeah.
it would be, if you removed one of those characters, it makes the file smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There we go.
That's
I
one.
just-
That's another reason I have it. Yeah.
I just made that up.
Man, I remember. That's funny. That the whole conversation with Tom about the double spaces. I still remember. That's one of the very first. I think my first week. That was something that Tom beat into my brain.
Because it looks strange in print when you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it in the old-fashioned world of book publishing, when you would submit a manuscript, you learned how to put the two spaces after the period. But when they make the book, they don't put two spaces.
Right.
After the
They
period.
fixed it. They took it out before it got printed.
Right. And so we were not technically a book publisher. Or no, we were technically a book publisher. We were not a manuscript publisher. And so you take it out because it makes the printed text look better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you see doing word balloons like that where you put two
that's
spaces
true.
after?
No, because it looks crazy, and also
it looks very bad. Yeah,
and also if you're doing a Claremont script or whatever, you need every bit of space.
Oh, you do.
you need very tight kerning, as they call it.
It's like Rob was saying. If you take out the extra space, you can cut out an extra page. Or whatever. So if you're
the first time I did that, I gained a page and a half in a book I was working on.
Oh
wow,
it was insane how much space I gained.
Yeah,
so, and that's money. Folks.
That's
Every
it.
page
That's
is money.
right.
That's
That's right. Okay, on to
Right.
the next question.
bring it on.
All right. Do you think single issue comics are being replaced in popularity with graphic novels?
So, but let's clarify. When you say single issue comics, do you
Floppies.
mean just the floppies, or do you mean like a single story in the floppies, or just
No, a
floppies
floppy.
in general?
Floppies in general.
Just one of these. Yeah.
Like
Ooh,
a
got one.
or just one where there's never an issue 2? Is that what you're saying? Or
No.
just
People want
everybody just putting ones out. One just so it's not really an issue 1.
We know
It's
somebody
just-
like that, don't we, Tommy?
It's just a book.
Well, for instance, I've heard people say, "I'll just wait. I won't buy the floppies. I'll just wait for the graphic novel
Yeah, I've heard
where they
that.
collect, issues 1 through 4 or whatever."
Right.
I know a lot of people that just want the trade paperbacks.
Yeah. I'm going to jump out and say, yeah, I think so. I think I don't know how quickly it's happening, but I mean, I see it in my classroom a lot. I see the students; they would much rather buy the graphic novel, and there's a couple of reasons, right? But one of them is because they can buy them and stick them on their bookshelf, right? All of us, I guarantee you, we've all got comic boxes in our house somewhere, right?
Yes.
I'm
They don't
sitting
want
next to mine.
Yeah, they don't want those. They want to get the graphic novel and they want to put it on their bookshelves, right?
Yes.
I have a couple of bookcases of them like that too.
Also, and it's also a fuller reading experience.
Yeah.
Like the
They want the whole story at once.
It's the difference between episodic TV
Yeah,
and binge watching.
yeah,
Right.
And that's where we're headed because my wife and I have been watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. We watch one episode a week because we're the old-fashioned type. We savor each episode.
yeah.
My daughter and her husband, they got the whole season, and they sat down in one night and watched them all.
Oh my
They
gosh.
binge watched them. So it's the generation difference.
Yeah.
So yeah.
but I think the floppy comic is dying off just because it's $5.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
that's a lot for an episode. When for $12 or $15, I can get a nice book with an entire story. And so I think a lot of people have put 2 and 2 together and said, "Well, this is what I want."
yeah.
It's more budget friendly.
Yep.
It is budget friendly.
More bang for your buck.
And it's also easier to, what Roland said earlier, it's easier to store.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy, like with a comic book, if you want to save your comic books, your floppy ones, you have to buy special equipment now.
Mhm.
You got to get a bag, you got to get a board, you got to get a box that sits next to you like a loyal dog, like what Rob has on the store over there. Yeah. And so I think, I think the trade
And
the Scholastic.
in goes the backing board.
What David Ace Gutierrez just wrote, the Scholastic model, and I think that's what kids are gravitating towards because the Scholastic novels used to be like $9, $9.99 or whatever, and that's a really good price point for an entire full color graphic novel.
Yeah.
So I'm all in for that size.
All right. Great. Those are really good answers, by the way. And I agree with all of them. I think they're becoming more popular.
I do. I agree.
All right.
Yep.
Should there be a special font to use for sarcasm?
Oh, sure.
It's called the Tom Mason font.
Okay. It's in bold.
Big
So are
and
you
bold,
saying
yeah.
should you use another font? Is
Should
that what
there
you're
be
saying?
a designated,
different-
recognized
Oh,
font just for sarcasm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you trying to say? Well, that's almost like saying that should all the normal talk have one specific font too. I think maybe it should have a different font than what they're using. You know, I would go with that. Maybe I try to do that if somebody's yelling or something like that. I'll try to use a different font, but one specific that everybody uses.
It's on word balloon
I'm going to
design.
say no.
Word balloon design.
A word balloon design. Actually, I like that idea.
I like
Yeah.
that idea a lot.
Well,
but
Yeah.
I'm against the sarcasm font because I think to me it's funny if people don't get it.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
We don't want anybody understanding your comic books, Tom.
Right. And I think
Well, did you ever read Dinosaurs for Hire?
there's two. I have two arguments. One is that it's funny when people don't get it,
Yes.
and also it's on the person doing the writing to come across as sarcastic without needing a special font.
Yeah.
It's like if you're writing dialogue in a story, you don't need a special font to tell you that a character is angry,
Right.
or a character or whatever. You just you use the words to indicate that character is angry, and that pulls you through it. And so I think people would start using the sarcasm font as a crutch,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and so it would ruin my
Lazy
fun.
writing.
I love when people don't get sarcasm.
Because the other thing to add on to that, right? So one of the things writers are often taught, right, is that you when you're giving dialogue tags in prose, for instance, you do not write, for instance, oh, I believe that he said sarcastically, right? Because that's a telling, right? And you, as the writer, you don't tell, you show, right? So your dialogue itself, as well as the actions of the character, right, the visuals, have to demonstrate the sarcasm, and you don't tell them. And I think the font would be that show don't tell. That the font would be telling as opposed to showing.
It's the shortcut.
So your character's rolling their eyes. Obviously, it's sarcasm.
Yeah, right. That's so the character rolling their eyes with a dialogue balloon of whatever they're saying. The eye roll helps communicate visually that whatever's in that balloon is sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have to.
So
they have to work in comics. They got to
So you
work
don't
together.
you don't need a font. You don't need a special font for that.
No.
No.
Yeah.
I would
Is that
say-
something that you're trying to do in Divinity? Is that what you're trying to write?
No. I got these
okay, all right.
questions off the internet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to.
I
Are
just
they
thought it was an
sarcastic
interesting
questions off
question.
the
You're working on the last issue, and you got some. Okay, never mind.
Okay. Is it acceptable to wear socks with sandals?
It's acceptable.
Only
You just
if
have
you're
to-
over 40.
If you want to be made fun of, yeah, go
Right.
for it.
everything is acceptable. You just have to, but there are consequences.
See, my answer is going to be: it depends on how cold it is.
Then you should have shoes on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Take your sandals and your Crocs and throw them in the garbage and put on some shoes.
But I'm just going to the end of the street and back. I don't need to put on a whole set of tennis shoes just to do that. Am I?
Then-
Are people
Thin
seeing
bread.
you? Am I at Walmart?
Or flip flops, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's fashionably acceptable. No, it makes you look like a dork.
It looks silly.
Yeah.
It looks
Now,
silly.
if you had those
Have you
socks
looked
that had
around,
the individual
Well,
Crocs with the individual little toes that stick through, now that
well, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Ooh, tell me more about these.
yeah.
All right. That one's pretty all
Yeah.
right. That one's
Lead
pretty-
balloon on that one.
that's-
Right, yeah.
do you consider manga comics its own literary niche and not comics?
No, it's comics.
It's a comic. This is
Yeah.
a different kind of comic.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of comic. It's a culturally different kind of comic.
Yeah.
It's still a comic.
It's
maybe a genre in comics, but
right.
yeah,
It's Western.
it's still a comic.
Well, they're
It's still a
packaged differently, kind of promoted differently.
Yeah,
You
but they
think
have all
they're-
the same stuff. They have monsters. They have superheroes. They
Yeah.
make comics about golf and cooking, and they they. So it's a format. I think it's
Yeah.
a format and a style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, do the people that prefer the manga comics or manga, just in case if somebody gets mad at us for saying manga.
I mean, me and you're from Mississippi. We can say
There you go, manga. It's all
manga.
manga.
Let's say manga.
Manga.
You also tomatoes.
Tomato. Do the people that really enjoy those and not the standard stuff, do they think that they're different?
Probably, I would.
I
guess.
think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
it's
think they
still
like to
comics.
associate it with
They're
with
still comics.
Yeah.
It's still
Well, I
comics.
mean, oh shoot, I don't have it on I mean, I read them. I read them all, right? I'm reading. Crap, I can't remember the name of the one I'm reading now, but it's a World War II manga, right? Graphic novel. It's really really good. I'm enjoying it.
Well, what makes a manga comic? What makes a comic a manga?
Well, all right. So you want
I don't know if I said
answer?
that right.
You want my answer that I give to my students that just ticks many of
Sure.
them off?
I think we've talked
It-
about this.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about this. Is that you got to be Japanese to make manga?
Right? We never
You
talked about that.
can't be an American and make manga, right? If you're an American, you're making a comic book that's influenced by Japanese art.
I think you got to have
right?
speed lines, a lot of speed lines.
So I know a lot of people.
I
don't agree
actually
with
have
me,
a
but
Procreate
that's-
brush that will do manga speed lines.
Yeah,
Seriously, I do.
I could
And a lot of
probably get one those
zipatone
for
dots
Photoshop.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I've always heard that manga is Japanese comics. It's not
Yeah.
it's not American comics. American comics are American comics, and so
Yep.
that's
It's not exactly a genre, but it's not. Yeah, it's
Well, and it's like
diff-
okay, so we
it's
all
different,
love.
but it's the same. It's weird, but
Yeah, so we all love been done here, right? So this is not a.
Mhm.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is not any kind of anything negative toward Ben done. But what Ben does, that's not manga.
no, it's manga influenced American comics.
It's
Yep.
manga influenced American comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
big
But
time.
what does he think it is?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think he's ever called it manga.
No, he calls it comics.
Yeah.
He does
know.
comics, is what he
Yeah,
said.
he does comics. Yeah.
Barb, you got his phone number. Call him.
I don't have his phone number.
Oh, okay.
I don't have everybody's phone numbers. I have a lot
I
of
think
phone numbers,
that-
but I don't
I
have Ben.
thought you had.
I think that question from David S. Gutierrez was interesting. How well do Western comics do overseas? Westerns as in the region, not in the genre. I mean, that is a good question. How well do Western comics sell in, let's say, China or Japan or India?
I don't think so.
The Disney comics do well in some places in Europe.
Right.
Okay.
And they
The
still,
Disney comics
they still do original Phantom comics in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alex Savick was drawing those, isn't he?
Yeah, and a guy named Glenn Lumsden draws them as well.
Oh, cool.
And because he's always posting the covers that he does for the Australian versions, and a lot of the American stuff does well overseas, but it's more. I know that like Chaikin's independent stuff that he's been working on for the last 10 years that gets hardcover collections in Europe.
Really?
Yeah,
There
So
you
he-
go.
and because that stuff is a little, it's not really superhero-y. It's more independent-y, artsy sort of spy type stuff. It's not
Very very adult themed.
right. It's not Batman, Superman.
Right.
And I think Walter Simonson's Ragnarok did well overseas, and Star Slammers did well overseas. And I think, but overseas to me means Europe.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
so France, Belgium, Italy.
Well, I guess that could be a question. Is Europe more accepting of American comics than, say, Africa, South America, Asia?
No, because you get a ton of American comics in Malaysia, and because there's a great artist named Alan Kwa And he's always posting his covers that he's been doing for Marvel and DC on his Facebook page. And he's always posting back issues that he's just acquired of classic American comics. So I think
In Malaysia.
So I think there's a huge. I mean, they have their nerd cultures just like we do.
Right. Yeah.
And so, is it hugely popular? I don't know, but they definitely have fans.
That's cool.
Okey-doke. Onward.
Okay.
You didn't answer, Barb.
I think they're separate.
Okay.
I
Good.
think manga is Japanese comics and American comics is American comics.
I think so.
Yeah.
They're just as readable.
Yeah.
Except
They're
you got
just
to
as
read
entertaining.
You got to read it backwards. You pick it up. You go in the wrong way. It's like, oh, here's the end. I like this.
Yeah, but once you get to the get used to the format of them,
Yeah. It moves.
it's fine.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Does the presence of heroes help create villains and cause more problems?
No, because we don't have any heroes now, and we got Elon Musk.
Oh,
He's going to be Batman. What are you talking about?
That's
No,
right.
he's not. He's
Yeah,
the
but-
Joker.
No, at the rate he's going, he's going to be Cyborg.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
maybe he can fix Roland's hand. He keeps pulling it up there, and I keep. Oh,
Well, you can't.
Well, I got to keep it elevated. So.
yeah, it'll be
that's-
hard.
So raise your hand like you're asking questions.
Just sitting there like this.
That's right. Just Roland, you have a question? But it,
So,
you'd be-
would there be no bad guys if there was no good guys? Is that what you're saying?
Super villains.
Well, would there be no supervillains if there was no?
In other words,
superheroes?
would there have been the Joker without Batman? And I think the movies kind of seem to be saying that, especially
Yeah.
the last one,
I've been rewatching Daredevil.
the Batman.
right.
I finally watched that.
Well, and-
the Batman. It's on Netflix,
And,
and
they
I liked it, but
they
that
also
was the whole theme.
they
Yeah.
also correlated that in the Age of Ultron for the Avengers after Ultron. They said that
Mhm.
they had noticed a huge upswing in supervillains after Iron Man hit the scene. So comics is saying that yes, more superheroes causes more supervillains. But that because there's more influx of specialized people with special abilities and normal human nature, you're going to have bad and good, or is it people don't like superheroes, so they want to be a supervillain? What's your opinion?
But you always had if you go back to westerns,
Yeah.
you always had villains. You always had train robbers and stagecoach robbers and bandits and whatever. And you always had, and if you were the sheriff, so if you were the superhero of your town, you always had villains coming in to try to take you out, always trying
Yeah.
to prove that you were slower with your gun than they were. And
Yeah.
so it's not. I don't think it's limited to superheroes. I
Is
think
this
it's
like the chicken and the egg thing? I don't.
Right.
I don't really get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think it's a classic trope. You certainly need a hero and
Yeah.
a villain for a good story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially if you're doing a comic book story or a western or a war story. You need heroes and villains. So
This
I don't know.
is
If
a
that
slice,
answers-
a slice of life comic where they're just bebopping around, not doing anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
but
are
that-
boring.
Yeah, but also in those comics, the the autobiographical character is the villain.
Yeah, we see a lot of books at Kablam. I'm flipping through them, and I'm like, well, there's nothing happened in this one. This is
Yeah, because I read a lot of American Splendor in the past, and Harvey
Yeah.
Pico would certainly be the villain of his own comic.
He was a curmudgeon.
Right. He was a cranky, unhappy person, and the slightest thing would set him off. So in his neighborhood, he's the
Which is
villain.
why he was perfect on David Letterman's show.
Oh my God, he was
So,
one of the best David Letterman guests.
He was perfect.
I gotta go YouTube that one now.
Oh, he
Yeah,
was
me
on-
too.
he was on several times, and then I think apparently he pissed David Letterman off at some point, and then he was-
Yeah, and then
Blacklisted.
he was never
Funny.
asked back again. Yeah.
Wow.
But Harvey was only doing what he was called on to do.
Yeah.
he's like the Larry Bud Melman of angry misanthropes.
That's right. All right, here's a good one
Oh,
for you
man.
guys.
Uh-oh.
Traveling back in time would be better than traveling forward in time.
Oh yeah, because I'd be dead if we went forward in time.
I would say
Oh,
traveling
I-
back in time because then I could get all the lottery numbers.
Yeah, but then what would you do with them?
With money?
When
Well, no.
I
What
could
you're
come-
saying that before you left, you would have to know what they were.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Just bet on the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
basically,
would-
you would have to get like an almanac of everything, and then
And then
travel
go-
back in
well,
time so
yeah,
you can
yeah,
make
that's-
use of
that's-
it.
so
that's
you're
the whole,
doing Back to the Future.
Back to the
3.
Future
Okay.
trope.
Uh,
Yeah.
all you really need to get is just buy Apple stock.
But we're saying that
Yeah.
you can't go forward.
Or Walmart.
at all. So you couldn't
Or
go back
Walmart,
and
yeah.
buy the stuff and then come back and.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Da-
here's
David
here's
Ace
the thing.
Gutierrez says you can go back in time and stop rolling from wearing socks with sandals.
Oh,
I'd rather go back in time because I think I don't know if this is appropriate for people of my age or not, or how many other people feel this way, but I'd rather try to go back and fix something
Me too.
and then jump ahead and see how things came out. I'd rather go back and say, because you can't sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, gosh darn it, I wish I hadn't said or done X when I was in high school or
Right.
college or whatever.
Yeah.
In this scenario, let's presume that we can come back to.
yeah, give us some definitions. Give
Yeah,
us
all right.
rules.
We can go
Yeah.
either go forward or backwards and come back to our starting point.
All right.
I'd rather go.
So we're not going one direction and staying then.
No.
I
You
want
have
to
a
say
rubber band. You jump and you pop back.
I'm quantum leaping.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd rather go
all right.
back. I'd still rather go back.
Yeah, see, going forward is so unpredictable. I mean, you could, I don't know, God forbid, we go
Well-
forward to tomorrow and we're not here. Well, something bad happened overnight, right?
There's
China
there's
attacked.
Or
Yeah,
it's,
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
it's like one of
there's
those.
a theory.
What's
or
the purpose of that? That
philosophy.
wasn't any good. Thanks, Barb. That was a short trip.
Yeah, there's a theory or philosophy that the past, the only thing that really exists is now.
Yeah.
But the past, you could travel to the past, but you can't travel to the future because it hasn't happened yet. You can't get there from here except by going at the speed we're going now. So you couldn't jump ahead. You can only go at the speed we're going now.
Also, going
So
forward.
Yeah,
Sorry, going forward.
yeah, we're
feels
always going forward. Now,
like, it feels like
now
a
if I had it,
story.
I just moved. I went forward.
if I could,
That was crazy.
if I could, I'm with Tom. I would like to go back, and I would especially like to talk to my young self and say, and say a few things. I'd be a lot more dangerous, I think.
Put some
As
of
a
that
young man, if
away,
the old
Thomas.
man me went back and talked to the young me, I'd
Yeah.
be very dangerous.
And I think going forward to me, going into the future sounds like the end of a Steve Ditko story from the 50s, where I end up going, oh, this is great. I'm forward in the future. And it turns out I'm in a jar in an alien spaceship.
Yeah,
because while I was going forward, the aliens came in and took over, and they just started putting humans in little jars. And so that's
Yeah.
where my fear would be that I would end up in some scenario like that. And
An alien zoo.
right, an alien zoo or something.
Mhm.
The only way my brain doesn't, and this is just me, doesn't get all twisted like a pretzel on these time traveling things is if you can time travel but you can't change anything, then excuse
Yeah.
me, I'm a little
Yeah.
chesty here. So that way you wouldn't mess something up one way or the other. You go back in the past, you change something, you screw something up, and then you come back and
Everything's different.
Yeah, and then what was the purpose of going back? Yes, I don't like those stories, and then you go, it's just so stupid. I don't want to think about it, and then my head starts to hurt, and I get a headache, and
But what if time is just a series of strings or strands? And
and then it's the
String
multiverse,
theory? Oh,
and
Right.
then we talked about
Mhm.
that the other day, didn't we?
Every decision branches another universe off.
right. So your story, you're the story where you're still, where I'm still dumb Tom Mason is still happening. But
Mhm.
the storyline where I go back and I fix something
You
and
made it better.
I made it better. That becomes a different reality. So now
But what about all
So
the
which
people
one-
that you
all right.
messed up along the way to get to where you're
Well-
the dumb Tom Mason?
let them go back and fix me then.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the question. So
Jump back.
if you go back and fix it and then you go forward, which forward are you going to it?
That's true.
Right?
I'm-
You get
I'm going-
slinging back.
if you go back to that point on the string and the string, which
That's
one
part
do
of
you go
that's
back
part of the paradox of time travel.
I know that's my head is starting to hurt.
to? What's the timeline where DC buys Malibu? I want to live in
Oh,
that
I'd love to be on that one.
That's a timeline where Roland and I still have jobs,
Oh,
one.
and myself probably.
I still have a job.
and we're hiring Barb and Tommy and Rob.
That's
Yep.
right.
So,
There you go.
Yeah.
I hated the ending of Avengers Endgame because
With Cap.
Cap goes back in time and marries Peggy. What happened to Peggy's kids? They ceased to exist. He murdered 2 kids.
Yeah, I know. See?
That's not explained, but
We
maybe
call that
they
the
were
Four Monty
maybe they
paradox.
were Cap's kids.
For Monty Paradox.
I know.
He completely erased her future with,
No, see, I like time travel like the Bill and Ted time travel, where
Right.
right now I need a pizza,
Dude.
so I'm going to go back 15 minutes and order one, so it'd be here right now.
Right.
That kind of thing.
That's-
That's my time travel. That's what I want.
I think it's funny that
Okay.
you've thought this through to the point of pizza.
Right. to get back to the pizza.
I'm
You know,
talking
what did they do in one of the
Pizza got
episodes?
mentioned earlier, and now he can't
they
get
were-
past it.
They were like handcuffed or something, and they go, I bet underneath this trash can is the keys to the lock, and then they lift it up, there it is, and they go, remember, go back in time and put the keys under there so you remember to get the see, that's the time travel I like, because it's
Yeah,
just
I'm talking about going back and fixing mistakes that I have made and
Yeah.
and fixing hurt feelings that I may have
oh
engendered.
not ordering pizza.
Oh, I'd
Tommy's
have
talking
a
about
lot
Parky
of I'd
pizza.
have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's right, me too.
Yeah.
I get
and
things done
and
too.
I go back and save people that I love
Yeah.
from
Well,
things.
there, yes, I would do that. So I would be very busy and sweaty if I went back in time because there's so much to do
Yeah,
Or undo, right?
or undo.
Or
Yeah,
undo.
that's right.
undo.
I would,
Yeah,
I
a lot
would
of
by
undoing.
definition be in great shape back then
Yeah,
because
tell my younger self not to marry my first husband.
Oh, I hope he's got this.
That's one of them.
I think that's true for a lot of us, Barb.
Yeah.
Maybe the second one too.
Oh.
Next question.
Yeah.
All right, one more question and we're going to wrap it up because it's already
All right.
after 8.
Yeah, it's
And
8:02.
this is an important
Here in the
one,
Midwest.
okay?
An important one. Okay.
Important one.
Do sandwiches taste better with the crust off?
Do I know?
Do sandwiches taste better with the crust cut off?
I like crust on my bread.
Me too. I like
Depends
crust.
on the
I
sandwich.
like the flavor of it. I mean, I like it. I like the inner parts too, but I like crust.
I like the full experience of the whole thing.
Yeah, like
It's like
it's
pizza.
like same with the pizza and stuff. I know lots of people won't eat the crust of the pizza. I enjoy the crust just as much as the rest of it.
It's part of the whole experience.
Yeah, I like that different flavor. I like the crust.
I actually prefer a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the 2 heels.
Ends. Oh, I love
All
that.
crust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All crust. Yeah.
peanut butter.
Yeah.
That for see, it depends on the sandwich.
Yeah.
Peanut
Yeah.
butter and jelly. I agree with you. 100%.
Yes.
The little heel pieces. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But I kind of like a grilled cheese sandwich with the
Without the
with the
ends.
crusts cut off.
Yeah.
No, I'll eat it. But I'll eat it either way.
Yeah.
But I like it. I
like
like
the
it
ooey
really
gooey
well.
coming
that
out.
way.
Grilled
Yeah.
cheese
Yeah.
was the one that came to my mind. It was like, oh, are there any sandwiches that I like without the crust? And it's like grilled cheese is good.
Look at you,
Yeah,
fancy.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of right offhand too.
Now,
Maybe tuna salad.
I wonder if
Maybe
Renee
tuna
will
salad.
make me a grilled cheese sandwich. She made
Well, you got food on the brain tonight, don't you, Tommy?
Yeah. Why don't you go back in time and ask her? That way it'll be ready.
I
when
know.
you-
Hold on. Let me go.
And you can eat during the
That's right.
stream, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. That was convenient. I also like the overcooked edges of pies and brownies and stuff. Like if we're at a party or whatever,
Burnt.
you'll
As long
notice
as it's
somebody
not
eats
burnt.
the edges all the way around. That's me.
Also, French toast is good with crust.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
I like the crunchy.
I would
part.
agree.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm
I got to cut off the edges of the brownies all the way around because I don't like the burnt edges.
Then
I
cinnamon.
love
Did
it.
that my way.
You take that sucker, you take that crunchy part and dip it in some Cool Whip.
Listen, FedEx makes a box so you can put that in and send it to me.
And it softens right up.
Barb's like, let me just grab my Ziploc bag here.
Yeah. Well, I have a garbage pail that does eat that stuff, you know, the crusts and the burnt pieces. So
Is his
I don't
name
have
Dick?
Yes.
I'm thinking they should make like those pans that are just, you know, only 2 inches wide, real long, so that way it's crust.
got his crust
all the way around.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dick doesn't allow me to waste any crusts or heels or burnt crispy edges of anything. So
Good for him.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah.
Keep that guy.
Okay, everybody, we are out of time, and I didn't even get through all of my questions.
That's for part 4.
That
Save
means
them for the
get
next
to-
time.
Four.
We might
I
get
don't know how
to do
many
this
figures.
again.
Well, these are always fun. These are
Well, it's
always
great
fun.
stepping in. I had a great time.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, as we always like to say at the end of wait a
thing
minute,
here.
I got to get my
Oh, look at Rob.
my stream in. There we go.
Here it
As
is.
we always like to say at the end of our podcast,
Silverline.
make mine
mine
Silverline.
Silverline. I don't have anything.
Hi, my name is Paul Kupperberg. Make mine Silverline.